At 4:12 in the morning, I stood barefoot on my porch holding a flashlight in one hand and my breath in the other, watching three HOA board members argue about whether the bolt cutter they brought was industrial grade enough to break into my garage. The moon was still out, the sprinklers were still running, and these people, these grown adults, were whispering like children trying not to wake their parents while planning to steal a bike. Except it wasn't a bike. It was the generator inside my locked garage. My generator, and they were about to take it for the community. If you think that sounds insane, trust me, this was the moment things finally snapped. But to understand how I ended up in the dark, watching my HOA attempt a community-funded burglary, I've got to take you back to where it started. Because this didn't begin with bolt cutters. It began with a leaf blower. My name is Tyler Grant. I'm 34, a paramedic, and the kind of guy who just wants to do my job, cut my grass grill on Sundays, and not talk to anyone unless they're bleeding. I moved into Lakeside Ridge 2 years ago after buying a small but beautiful corner house with an old oak tree and a detached garage that came with a built-in generator the previous owner installed. It was perfect, quiet, simple, peaceful. Well, until I met her. Her name was Linda Hornwell, and she introduced herself exactly like this. "Good morning, I'm the HOA president, and you're 2 minutes late putting your trash cans away." 2 minutes. She checked her watch, pointed at her clipboard, tapped her pen like she was writing me a citation in her head. I laughed. Big mistake. She didn't. From that day forward, Linda treated me like her personal renovation project. First came the warnings: your hedge is overgrown by 1.5 inches. Your mailbox is matte, but the standard is semi-gloss. Your garden hose is visible from the street. Then came the letters. Long, dramatic letters. "Dear Tyler, your nonconformance threatens the integrity and visual harmony of our neighborhood." I ignored them. I'm a paramedic. I have bigger things to worry about than visual harmony. But Linda isn't the type of person you ignore. Things escalated when the summer heat wave rolled in. Temperatures went insane, days of 110 degrees and rolling blackouts hitting every evening. People panic-bought fans, ice, portable AC units. Me, I didn't panic. I had a generator. A beautiful, well-maintained, fully fueled generator that kept my lights on while the rest of the neighborhood dimmed into darkness. That generator became the center of everything. The first night the power went out, my lights stayed on soft, warm, steady glow. I didn't run the AC high, didn't blast music, didn't draw attention. At least I thought I didn't. But light travels. And apparently anger does too. Around 9:30 p.m. my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Linda standing there with 2 board members flanking her like she was Secret Service. She didn't say hello. She just pointed over my shoulder. "You are required," she said, "to share that generator." "I'm sorry." "It's a community emergency," she continued. "We've designated your generator as a shared neighborhood resource following tonight's unanimous board vote. A vote you didn't invite me to. Homeowners don't attend emergency board sessions. But you're declaring my property community property." "It's temporary," she snapped. "Don't be selfish." I shut the door. Politely but firmly. Or at least that's how I remember it. Linda remembers it as hostile homeowner aggression. She slipped a violation notice under my door 30 seconds later. Night after night, the power grid struggled, and every night Linda tried something. One evening, she stood outside my fence with a flashlight checking for code compliance. Another night, she slipped a note under my windshield wiper saying, "Your refusal to contribute creates resentment within the community." Then came the morning she accused me of hoarding electricity. But the breaking point wasn't any of those. It happened the night I made the mistake of helping someone. Around 1:00 a.m., my elderly neighbor Mr. Connors knocked on my door, sweating, shaking, barely able to speak. His home had been without AC for 6 hours, and the heat wasn't just uncomfortable for him, it was dangerous. I brought him inside, got him water, helped him sit under a fan. And because I'm human, I left the front blinds slightly open so he could see the TV for a distraction. Linda saw the glow. And the next evening she tried again, but this time she wasn't alone. A small crowd had gathered, neighbors who were hot, frustrated, and desperate. But instead of asking, they demanded, "You're keeping power from the rest of us. This isn't fair. You have what we need." and Linda behind them, smiling the smile of someone enjoying being the puppet master. I shut the door again, and this time I locked it. I'd like to say that was the end of it, but that would be too easy. The next morning I found a folded letter taped to my garage door. In bright red marker it read, "Community Resource Inventory, Access Required." And below that, "Garage Inspection Friday, 4:30 a.m. Mandatory." They wanted to inspect my generator. I laughed. Then I got angry. Then something heavier hit me in the chest. Fear. Not for my safety, but for the realization that they weren't going to stop. They genuinely believed they had the right to take what wasn't theirs. And for a moment, I questioned myself. What if I was being too rigid? What if I should just let them borrow it for a few hours? What if my refusal really was hurting others? What if I was actually the unreasonable one? That moment of doubt lasted a full 30 seconds, right up until I heard someone jiggle my gate. I opened the blinds to see 3 HOA board members whispering and pointing at my garage like burglars planning a heist. That's when I realized, no, this wasn't about community. This was about control. The morning of the inspection, I woke long before dawn, mostly because I couldn't sleep. At 4:00 a.m. I made coffee. At 4:07 I checked my backyard cameras. At 4:12 I stepped onto the porch and saw them. Linda. Richard, the HOA treasurer. Mallory, the emergency preparedness coordinator, which I'm pretty sure is a title Linda invented just so she could appoint someone. All 3 stood near my garage door. Richard held a clipboard. Mallory held a flashlight. Linda held bolt cutters. They whispered like they were sharing state secrets. "Try the smaller lock first. Don't scratch the door," he'll yell. "Do we have liability coverage for this?" Linda hissed. "The board authorized it." "It's fine." That's when I finally spoke up. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" They froze. Linda recovered first, straightened her posture, and smiled like she was hosting a morning talk show. "Tyler, perfect timing. We're conducting the mandatory inspection." "Mandatory for who?" "For the community." "That's funny," I said, "because this isn't community property." She lifted the bolt cutters. "It is during emergencies. Put those down." "Tyler." She sighed. "Please don't escalate this. We're doing the right thing." I took my phone out and hit record. Instant panic flickered through her eyes. "That's unnecessary," she snapped. "No," I said, "this is necessary." Her tone sharpened. "You're obstructing a board directive. That is a violation. And you're trespassing. This is for the good of the neighborhood," she barked. "Then why didn't you ask?" "We did," she insisted. "You refused. That's not asking. That's demanding. We're well within our rights." "No," I said louder this time. "You're not," Mallory whispered. "Linda, maybe we should go." Linda didn't even blink. She lifted the bolt cutters again, placed them on my garage lock, and that was it. The moment. The line snapping inside me before the lock even did. I stepped closer. "Touch that lock and I call the sheriff." She smirked. "Go ahead." So I did. 5 minutes later, blue and red lights flooded the street. Deputy Harris and Deputy Alvarez stepped out of the cruiser, both of them looking like they were not paid enough to deal with HOA drama before sunrise. Harris approached me first. "Morning, Tyler. You call about trespassing?" "Yep," I said, pointing at the trio. "They attempted forced entry." "We did no such." Linda began. Alvarez interrupted. "Ma'am, step away from the door." Linda puffed herself up. "I am the HOA president, and I'm the law," Harris replied. "So let's not have a contest." Harris asked what was happening. I showed him the video. Alvarez inspected the cutters. Harris radioed something. Linda sputtered like a coffee pot boiling over. "This is unnecessary. He is endangering lives. We have authority to act during emergencies." "No," Harris said. "You really don't." "Then cite him," she demanded. "For what?" "For refusing to share vital resources." "He doesn't have to." "That's absurd. That's irresponsible." Harris clipped his flashlight to his vest. "Ma'am, what's irresponsible is bringing bolt cutters onto someone else's property." "But the board voted. That's not how private property works." "But ma'am," he said, "do you understand what attempted forced entry means?" Silence. Linda's mouth opened, closed, twitched. Richard stared at the ground like he regretted every life choice that led him here. Mallory looked like she wanted to melt into a puddle. "Here's what's going to happen," Harris said. "You three are leaving. Now. If you come back with bolt cutters or any other tool, you will be arrested. If you attempt to open this garage, you will be arrested. If you step foot on this property without permission, you will be arrested." Linda shook with rage. Actually shook. "This isn't over," she hissed. Ma'am Alvarez said calmly, "It's over for today." They left. Not proudly, not gracefully, just defeated like three raccoons getting chased off a porch. As the deputies drove away and silence returned to the neighborhood, I stood there in the blue glow of my porch light, staring at the lock Linda tried to cut at the garage door they treated like public property, at the tools they almost used that could have destroyed something I worked hard for. And in that moment, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired, angry, and strangely relieved because the line had finally been drawn not by me, but by the law. I put the bolt cutter-shaped dents behind me, locked the garage again, and walked back inside. No cheering, no victory lap, just a quiet, exhausted breath and the realization of a simple truth. You can't control what an HOA thinks it owns, but you damn sure can defend what's yours. Some people don't understand boundaries until they run face first into one.